So, so I done pushed the button. Yo, check it out. This is Terry Whitfield for the Terry Whitfield Podcast Show. The Terry Whitfield Yasha Ben-Yishrael Podcast Show. The place where we talk about things they don't want you to know and things that people don't like to talk about. You know? And today I have a very, very long friend of mine. He actually knew me before I got into the Israelite knowledge, okay? He knew me from the neighborhood, from kids growing up together. And today, we in our 50s and 40s and we older men. And it's funny how today that we have come together up on the same path. This is my brother Camuel Ben Yehudah. What up, Camuel Ben Yehudah? What it do, my brother?
How you doing, Camuel Ben Yehudah? Mishpashka, my people. Mishpashka. Salam, Mishpashka, my family.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we was over here chopping it up, kicking it up, you know. So, you know, we gonna sit back and unwind and let it do what it do.
Don't worry, stuff in my face while I'm talking.
Yeah. It was something we was talking about earlier that I wanted to kind of expound.
Gentiles.
Huh?
And they fear of us coming up.
Say what now?
Just talking about minutes ago or from last night or just a few minutes ago?
Yeah, just a few minutes ago.
About Gentiles and how our understanding is different from their understanding of why it's hard for them to recognize us as people and just let us be us without their interference.
Oh yeah, Now we talking about real independence. You know how the white man was American white man was independent from the British white man. Real independence. That's what we want. We want real independence. You know, but this nation, it appears to me, Camuel, that this nation is every day is constantly coming up with schisms, schemes, and all of this stuff to kind of keep us from ever becoming that independent people.
That's what they don't want. Israel is a treasure jewel to the world. But everywhere we've been on this continent, on this planet, we made nations rich. And they refuse to let us go.
Yeah.
So much with Caucasian here. This would have probably been another Poland or something like that. Hebrews was in this land.
And
every idea they ever had and came up with came from us.
Let's conceptualize that a little bit on how we made them rich. Let's look at the whole entertainment and sports industry and why African Americans are able to amass millions and millions of dollars in that industry. You know, it is because we made them millions on top of millions more.
Yes.
You know, anything that we have done, our whole being here, by this being a capitalistic society, and they making it, them being in the position of to where they're making it like you got to have money to survive. You know what I'm saying? And in order for us to survive, we got to get money. We got to do things to get money. So quite naturally, at some point, we're going to amass a lot of money, you know, just to survive. And as we make money, they make money hand over fist off of the money that we make.
Yes, that's that pocket, that nice little tight pocket that keeps in. See, one thing about Gentiles, and then especially the Caucasian Gentile, he knows the power of the natural Hebrew. This goes all the way back to the time of Joseph. You know, Joseph was in the dungeon. And he came up from the dungeon, rose to the top of Egypt. Senator, Pharaoh, all because of the blessings of the Most High that brings on down. And that goes back to his forefathers, from Abraham to Isaac to Jacob. These men had blessed hands. The Hebrews today have those blessed hands. You know, back in the time when the Most High cursed man, and the first person that got that first curse was those Gentiles, Gentiles back then, they used to have our skin color. You know, everything they had was cursed down. They couldn't crop. They couldn't do anything. People don't understand, the people that was cursed was the seeds, children of Eve, and the children of those pieces of the field. You know, Adam was never a cursed man. You know, we are the most dominant and powerful people on this planet to this day. I thought the most I tell you in Deuteronomy 7 and 8, if I'm saying it accurately, that we are blessed and mighty people. No, we are His chosen. He gave us all the gifts. We are the greatest inventors, the greatest planners, the greatest planners, the greatest musicians, the greatest athletes.
Scientists.
There's nobody that can dominate.
Scientists. You know.
Yes, I have a page open in front of me now. I have all the black great inventors. I could scroll this page for a half-hour straight. It's full of every invention of all black men that contributed to the rise of the power of the Caucasian race in this country we came up. It's not nothing that they can't even open the door now. Even up to the door now, they turn open. The flushing of the toilet, all inventions by black people. They know how mighty we are. They know how mighty and how advanced of people we are and successful we are. To let us go off into our own and build society upon our own, we would advance so far past them. We would leave them in the dust. They know this. They have to keep the average black man.
Well, you know, this is not a new conversation. You know, Elijah Muhammad was on that tip. Marcus Garvey was on that tip. You know, those guys were really, really on that independent tip.
And they knew the power of the people. This is the main reason they got rid of them. No, that's why they deported Marcus Garvey and executed most of these men, because they were making these black people up to the power that they have amongst themselves. If we gather amongst ourselves, we become the greatest thing.
Well, it's amazing. It's amazing how they let Elijah Muhammad and even Louis Farrakhan live to be old men. You know what I'm saying? You know that's one thing. But but Elijah Muhammad brought to the table. He was like, you know, out of 50 states, just give us 12 states. Y'all stay over there. We stay over here.
He just brought it down to our own to one. But see, that's the genesis of the problem. Being the people that we are, we terrify them. You know, because like I was saying before, economically, we blow them out of the water. They could not survive without us, nor prosper. You know, like I said, this country became the mightiest nation on the earth right now. All the greatest army, all contribute.
You talk like on a military level. Colin Powell, the Tuskegee Airmen.
Yes, we taught them. Not only that, we taught them how to fight. You know, they learned a lot. Like I said, this like me with history. I always have a conflict when I speak about history. When I talk to different people about the history, because we keep on contributing and praising these Caucasians. Not only keep saying that, because a lot of white people they're not bad. You know, internally they're bad. But they don't know who and what they are. But in the long story short,
and you know, that's one of the reasons why, Camuel, that I got out of the entertainment industry. You know, because I felt like that I was putting too much gold and too much value into a system and a society that to where it wasn't even really even worth it at the end of the day.
No, it wouldn't benefit you. It benefits them. They were like with all entertainers, they would have chained you up and like an old rag, this rag would have squeezed you out and hung you up to dry.
Yeah.
Every so-called Afro-American entertainer, they went through this. You know, these guys put in work. They make these people rich.
Yeah,
I
can't think of the scripture, but maybe you could. But there was a scripture, I think somewhere in that Bible, I don't know whether it's Old Testament or New Testament, but it was something that said something along the strength that the nations wax rich off the sins of Israel or something like that.
Yeah, that's how they got it. I know it's one of the apocryphal book of Judah. Let me see, the book of Judah, where they knew that our sins would be our downfall. Now it's history of this planet, they always tried to get us. They could never make us betray the Most High. They knew, like here, like say for instance, here, Judah, the book of the Apocrypha, Judah 5, chapter 5, verse 20. Now, therefore, my Lord and Governor, if there be any error against this people, which is talking about the Hebrew man and woman, the child, and they sinned against their God, who was our power, well, who was our shield and our armor, and would cause us to prosper and be great in the world. Let us consider that this shall be their ruin. But at any time that we went against the Most High, broke the holy covenant that we made with Him, that all that protection will be gone from us.
Wow.
That power to run us over and take that blessing, the blessing of Abraham that is inside of us, and use it to their benefit. Before they could never touch us. No, they would always look upon us with great envy and say their women, the way they built, the dominance of these people. They tried everything in their power to come against us. We always beat them on the battlefield and always beat them economically and everything. They do the one thing that can get us. They can get us to sin and turn against our Most High and break the holy covenant, which we said we will all do and keep. That was our kryptonite for them.
Think about how powerful that is, though. The sins of Israel, the nations become rich off of the sins of Israel. Do you know how much? I don't know what particular scripture that is, or is that in the Bible, or is that just my summation of reading the Bible?
No, you're speaking accurate. It's in the Bible. That's also what it's also. I think it's in Psalms and in the Apocrypha. I think called to mind. The Hebrews, when the Gentiles seen the Hebrew fall, they became great. The fall and weakness of the Hebrews became the greatness of the Gentiles.
Woo!
We screwed them up. And when we messed up, they gave them the incentive to rule up and step up. They lifted up the hand upon us. They became mighty. Because like I said, they took us into fold, into their hand, and they used us like old dish rags.
You know, I can't remember where I read this from, but or just a historical addition to that, you know, or a historical materialization or realization of that. And I can't remember where I read this from, but I once read in studying the history of like Spain, North Africa, you know, the Moorish Empire and stuff like that.
Yes.
And it talked about when the Europeans were amongst those Negroes, when they were powerful, the European was afraid of them Negroes. Okay? But these Negroes, the different factions, the Muslims against the Christians against the this, and the infighting, the Europeans saw the infighting amongst these people, and they looked at it like, oh, man, these people ain't as big, bad, powerful, or dominant as we think they is. And they became, after seeing us fight amongst each other for so long, they lost fear of us. And that's how they took Queen Isabella and Ferdinand and them took over Spain, Iberia, the land of the Hebrews from Ibri.
Wow. And people to this day don't know that all of Europe was built up by the Hebrew. You know, because as the Hebrews spanned out, he moved from the Torah and started indulging into Muslim and all that, and became Moors and all this. They started getting, as they branched out, they became weaker and strained from the Most High.
Yeah.
But still, us being who we are as dominant people, we conquered all of that. We had all that, man. Everything you see in Europe is built up by the Negro.
Well, the beautiful thing about that is that history has recorded it, and if some great event occurs to where the libraries get burnt up, the books get lost, the internet has fallen down. You know, you have guys like me and yourself who have committed this stuff to memory. You know, this history, we have committed it to memory. And the beautiful thing about having these podcasts and social media and technology, before any of those things can ever happen, we can expound upon these histories. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I'm just saying to say that however way it went down, it was, the beautiful part about it is that it was recorded.
Oh, they still had those books, bro. They lose all those books. Matter of fact, it's amazing that you brought it up because last week I was reading on a document about I forgot this basically it stands from Alexander time up into the Roman time where they ordered when they came to the land they ordered all those books burned and destroyed, but actually them books was taken and hidden. Right to this day, the Roman Catholics have those books up under their churches.
Oh, how did I know you?
Miles and miles of those books. A lot of those books, because a lot of those books was written by, like I said, the Hebrews and Moors and all that. They didn't want it to be known for that.
That's right. They wanted to
eradicate any source of them being a powerful people. But I'm trying to think of the name of this general. One of the orders of Alexander, and even years after Alexander was gone, there was men that came behind to keep those books. Those books contain science and knowledge for them that they were still using to this day. And right now, basically those books are up under Roman Vatican. It's I think it's 800 or some miles of library down up under that.
Wow, how many miles you say?
800 miles, basically a whole freaking city, a whole library city up under Vatican.
Wow, you said 800 miles, bro?
Yes.
Of ancient... Look.
During the wartime, they built catacombs to go from one end to the other.
And how about this? Could not, between these two factions right here, based off what you said, could not that, plus the fact that they got the world's greatest observatory, were they able to look off into the space and, create the time and the calendar and the day? Those two factions right there alone could be the reason why the European, you understand what I'm saying, is so dominant.
That's all that Mesopotamian knowledge. When they first started going over there, and they came into these people, and these people technologically advanced in science. They was blown away by the things they was learning from these people in that land at that time. What we call today modern day Israel. That Asian land. The white started going up there. They was like, whoa. They was many of the things we do today. They was doing back then.
But you know what I think?
From them is that they would ride horses. They would be driving cars. But their science was on point. And these Europeans, they were sucking all that knowledge up. They sucked all of that knowledge up. Yeah. They got to the point where they were so dominant where they took it over. They ran over them, took it over. Hello? What's going on?
Yeah, we had to excuse me for a second there. That was, we podcasting here, and we podcasting from the home studio, and I had to go with some the neighbors knocking on my door, and they want to cut my grass. So I told them that if they cut my grass, I'll tip them handsomely. Yeah, so that's what that was. But back at the ranch, man, I was hoping that you was able to keep it going until I come back without having to explain that. But that's the beauty, Camuel. That's the beauty of working and working at home and owning your own business. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's real. It gives the audience a touch of reality and what goes on in our real world. Yeah.
You know what, the Hebrews, they always had their own business. They always worked from home. Just like what we're doing here in this nation that we're in now, that we're enslaved into now, You know, they call it the Great American. You know, and people not realizing that we still slaves to anything because they drive around and do this and have fun and they not slaves. But we had our own land. We had our own everything. We didn't never have to answer to nobody. We never. Those children are being taxed. They still slaves. They don't realize that.
Okay, this is one of the top subjects that I was thinking about earlier that I was talking about that I wanted to touch on. What is it to gain from people, black people? I think we touched on this last night, but we didn't really go there like that. We touched on it, but we didn't really go into it, you know. What is it to gain from black? You know, white people know who we are, and if they, it's almost like a person who going to get his car fixed. If you let these people know that you know about cars and that you actually can fix this mug yourself, you just paying them, then they're not going to play on you. But if you ignorant of cars, they're going to tell you this, and rob you, you know.
Oh, yeah, they gave them a heart. They do that to the women all the time.
Yeah, they do it to women all of the time, you know.
Yeah, that's the plot of it. That's the plot of them. You remember, I don't know how but like now, as me as been the age I am, when I was a kid in the 70s, you know, I was very conscious in the 70s, aware of my surroundings. You know, I wasn't like the average kid. I knew what was going on around the world. You know, but growing up during those times, you know, it was like, we used to have all kind of things for the black men that are, you know, they are motors, you know how to work on cars, but all these things were there for the black man in the community to learn and do some of his life. You know, it's time to see, but then again, you know, by us having the ability to have a financial growth, it also gave us power base. You know, this is something that came against us in the 60s. You know, when the Hazi Negroes keep rising up on the Hazi Negroes keep rising up, coming into power. Where's all these smart Negro leaders coming from?
I mean, you just said it. I mean, it starts with the idea that we're human first, okay?
Yeah.
And that we have a mind and we're thinkers.
Yeah.
And I think that this society is trying. I remember, man, about 10, maybe 15 years ago, how hip-hop was, you know, you look in a hip-hop video and you see the rapper, he's the rapper, a human, and 1 minute he's like a cyborg, half human, half robot, you know. It's like, I'm seeing that these people are trying to make us into technology as opposed to human beings. We're talking about the nanotechnology and the vaccines and all of this crazy 5G and all of this crazy crap, man, to reduce us to being less than human beings, meaning that they want to control your thinking. You know what I'm saying?
Every time.
They want to control your whole being. They don't want you to be able to. This is why on your job, they keep you busy. 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 Don't talk on your phone. Don't be on the computer at work. Don't do this. They don't want you to have nothing going on in your mind other than what they paying you to do. And that's just unrealistic because we are people that can whistle while we work. You know, we can work and whistle, okay?
You ask yourself, why is it like that? Why? They don't want you, any free time, so you understand, the Most High is always talking to his people all the time. He's speaking to us all the time. Even when we like rock-headed and ignoring him, you know, he said in the places where we are slaves, he's going to be a little sanctuary to us. He's going to always be there trying to pull us up out of that. Any free time you have to sit down and think and ponder your life, you're going to come to the realm of thinking about the Most High no matter what you do.
Yeah, you know, do you know how many jobs?
You're always thinking wonder upon him.
Do you know how many jobs I've had, Camuel, where I've been doing labor right there at work, and I've probably written, man, probably about 4 or 5 albums, working for this white man. All while I'm doing what he paying me to do, I'm writing raps and producing songs and stuff and composing music in my head, man.
That's that blessing. That's that blessing that Abraham you have.
You know,
Nobody
and it's like
that blessing was.
they don't want you to even have that type of humanity. They want you to work, and if they paying you to wipe and change and wipe somebody's ass and change their diaper, they don't want you to think about nothing but that. Lift his balls, clean around her vagina. I mean, that's all they want you to think. They don't wipe their butt, throw away the diaper, dispose of the gloves, wash your hands. You know, that's all they want you to think about. Strictly that.
Well, you know, when we was a kid, there wasn't that many distractions. That when me and you were young, you know, there wasn't that many distractions like there are today. So they had to be, you know, freaking creative to keep us distracted. You know, they had to, you know, the cartoons and the coming on of the video games on it. They had too much to keep us distracted. Today, it's multiple facets they can keep the black man distracted. Like I said, the one thing they don't want you to do is to sit down, be at peace. When you're quiet, no, because that's when the Most High don't speak. They don't want you to dwell on him. But once you start dwelling on him, you start searching, you start pondering, you start reaching, then you start investigating, then you start studying.
He start empowering you.
Yes, they're going to expect black leader. Listen to all the great men that ever walked and try to do something. That's all great men that ever walked and try to do something for our people. Those men are all dead. Why are they dead? Because it was a great threat. No.
Now, when you talk about
great change,
hey, I'm gonna love you on my show because you like to go, and I ain't gotta work as hard with you. That's beautiful. But when we talking about this distraction, could not the distraction also be things like this new wave information that you Negroes are not Israelites, you Negroes are not Jews, you Negroes are not Hebrews. God ain't real, your Bible is fake, there's no archaeological evidence for nothing in the Bible. You know, that is the distraction. And notice, I was listening to Brother Inky today, and I really don't like throwing out a lot of guys' names, but I do believe in giving people props for what they say and what they bring to the table. And Inky was talking about, you know, just look at how when all of these Sarnettas, Polites, Dr. Phil Valentine's, Garfield.
I haven't heard in a long time. It's Valentine.
Yeah. Oh man, he brought some real wickedism to the table.
Yeah, I admired his the way he came across. And then I started listening to Mr. Phil Valentine for a while. Then I started listening to the things he was saying. I said, he on this way. You got a box for him. You know, because to be that intellectual and intellectually intelligent and stupid at the same time, that's beyond reach.
Yeah, I mean, all them guys, man, I was except for Sarnetta, but even he's a great man. Cause when it comes to what he did with the YouTube thing and how he became the magnet where everybody came to, that's great, man. All of them guys, man, were great, and they showed the power of blackness, but they gave that power right on over to the adversary.
Yes, what you said, that's the whole thing about it. And the thing that makes your job hard makes my job harder, but it's like your knowledge is the vast part in the mind, so you don't have to work hard. But I have to, because I was coming into it, I had to work hard. The thing about that shit they call it that. People build those strongholds in their mind. It was these guys, because the first thing about black people, you see somebody on TV, you assume they know what they're talking about. They got money, you assume they know what they're talking about. But like the Most High said, the rich man talk, everybody listen, that holds up to the heavy, poor man talk, they stomping in the ground. Like, who is you?
But look at this though. You say, who is you? Okay, here goes the answer to that question. We have been here long enough where the greatness of the black mind have produced some of the greatest scholars in history and archaeology, and all of these people have said that we were the children of Israel, and now they have credentials. You know what I'm saying? All of these people have said that things like the Armax came from West Africa as opposed to across the Bering Strait.
And that's like that very true. That's a big argument with a lot of conversations, especially with the Hebrews. And I had to really go back and like study in silence for like a month track the movements of the Hebrews. Like, you know, when the Father is Jerusalem, right? And, you know, Hebrews was all over the place. You know, to the left of Jerusalem, to the right, in the midst of it, up north, down south, to the left. You know, it was like, when you're running from your enemy, you're trying to get away from him. You're not going to run towards the enemy, you're going to run the opposite direction. Now, let's say for like the Hebrews that was like upper north, you know, Macedonia and Russia and all of them, they're not coming back downward. They went upward. They went further and further and further north. A lot of these camps, they use that as an excuse to try to justify, like a lot of these fake Indians try to call them Hebrews, the Mexicans call them Hebrews, but they're not. Oh, they came across the Bering Strait. No, bro, because I studied, and I had to like study, like really study like land, longitude, height, conditions, and people who hold these land. When you walk across the land, you're traveling across territory, you're traveling across people's territory. You going past lands that you ain't supposed to be going past.
But the Bering Straits today, were they saying that the Bering Straits was to the point to where they just walked over, but today you can't walk over just like that today?
No, it was some parts they had to travel by boat, but it wasn't a long trip. That would be like crossing over the Bering Strait would be similar to us going across Belle to Canada, because the land masses were real close at that point. So they were able to go over into the American land, the upper Canadas and Alaskas and American land. So
you're not saying that the Bering Strait story did not occur. You're more so focusing upon the greater migration.
A lot of the Hebrews that come across, only the ones that was trapped, only the Hebrews that were trapped up north when Jerusalem fell and the word went out that Jerusalem would die, and the Most High said, like, you know, and this is also in Isaiah, and they crossed it over. They reworded it in the New Testament, and try to make it Jesus prophecy and all that crap.
Wow.
A lot of our people, because the Hebrews was traveling far and wide. A lot of our people was in the upper. They was all up in Russia and all those lands up there. They couldn't come back. But
I think a lot of our people went to that area, but I'm inclined to believe what John Henry Clark said, that he said that when he studied these migration patterns, when he actually studied them, like say when Jerusalem fell in 70 AD, he said he saw no migration patterns that went off into Europe. He said but he saw all the migration patterns went into the interior of northern and western Africa.
But the problem they trick a lot of people here, they can accept these Gentiles as Hebrews. A lot of Hebrews, they never left out of Africa. That new land they went into, he said they went to a land that nobody ever went in, that was Africa. A lot of them went up north and seen they couldn't cross over enemy territories, and Hebrews was traveling like caravan.
This is my thought on that, okay? And I could be wrong. This is my conjecture. Okay, I think that the people who came from the West, like China and Asia and Russia, that old going into the Bering Strait thing, I can't say whether they were Israelite or not. I do believe that they were a Mongoloid extraction. Now, whether those Mongoloids were a part of the Israelites that mixed with the Mongoloids that came over here, that I'm not. That is a little beyond me to be able to say that. But I do know that we from Africa have migration patterns that has been documented that has never stopped from Western Africa all the way over to the United States of America, way before Christopher Columbus.
There was somebody here before Chris. But a lot about
there was another white man, Leif Erikson. You remember him?
Maybe.
Eric the Red and all the Vikings.
Okay.
That was way before Columbus. But they don't attribute that to America because they like to say that he was like over in Iceland and Greenland and, up in that area.
Never made it all the way over here. And Columbus Columbus himself never came to America. See, that's another lie that the Caucasian tell. Columbus, he landed in South America. He saw America from. He landed on the northern banks of South America, where he saw America, the lands of America across the great waters. He never really came. He never really came here. He landed on the islands, the northeast, and northwestern areas of South America. And from there, the people that came after him came across. You know, there was explorer Vespucci. You remember him, right?
Yeah, Amerigo Vespucci. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the one that came over. You know, he came over, but they had Columbus' name on everything because Columbus he saw the landmass, but he never really came over here like years later. But it was Vespucci that came over here, and Columbus, because he was keeping up so much crap and garbage and all the rape and murder that he was doing, they didn't name the place after him. So the coalition was named after him.
You know, I read a book. I read a book.
They named it after Amerigo Vespucci. You know, because Columbus, he was a thing of he was a controversy. His name was all mixed up with all kind of controversy and stuff he was doing, killing and murdering and raping all these people there.
Yeah.
And the white man couldn't have that shadow on him, so they just bypassed him.
But they say that's the guy who they say America was named after, but I don't believe that. I don't believe that America was named after him. I mean, I do give some credibility to that, but what I'm trying to say is that the word America is not a European word. Okay? Or Amerigo, because the root word of both of them is Omari, which is the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Black Phoenicians.
Yeah. But who stole the thing? Who colonized and stole those names and made them their names?
The European.
There you go.
Yeah, the European. Those that spoke those Romance languages.
Yeah, just like old boy went over there, Rio, Scipio, Afrikaners, and Afrikaners, and you talk about the name, it was named after a white man, but Afrikaners is not a white man's name.
Right.
It's not a white man's name.
Right, because of the root word Afari.
Yeah.
The root word Afari both Afari and Omari are Hebrew and Canaanite words. The word America is not the word America is a pure Phoenician Hebrew word. You got Omari, meaning from Omar, and then you got Ka, meaning your or you. Okay? So it's like saying America is like the land that belongs to the Omari. This is yours. This is the Omari's land. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
This is the land of the Amorites. And I've read a book that was endorsed by John Henry Clark. A European actually wrote the book, and it was about Columbus.
Yeah.
I had the book around here. I think it's over to my mom's house, and I'm going to have to get it because this subject is going up in the air a lot lately, and I wish that I had it. But in this book, this European did research into Greek history and found many of the Greek characters of antiquity, like Pliny, Homer, Herodotus,
Yeah.
A lot of he talked about how a lot of those guys, and guys that I failed to mention, talked about how the Canaanites, the Phoenicians, discovered lands way on the other side of the waters from the Pillars of Hercules. And this is the key. And they kept this land secret for thousands and thousands and thousands of years from the rest of the world because they didn't want knowledge of the wealth and riches that was on it. This land got gold and all kind of stuff over here, all down in tunnels and shit that people don't know nothing about. Okay, this land was a very rich land, and the Phoenicians didn't want the people around the world to know about this, so they created secret societies and secret orders. And that's what gave birth to your Masonry and how Europeans end up with black names and stuff like that.
Oh, yes.
You know, there is a connection, and you always watch movies where they talked about the Holy Grail and Masonic orders starting from France and England and George Washington and all of these guys, you know. And this stuff here was really, really, really expounded upon in the 1700s. You know, like how we talking about it now, white dominant men, while we was enslaved, they were talking about these types of subjects. And this was during the Enlightenment era. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, the luminous.
Yeah. And during the Enlightenment period of America, this is when Europeans had these type of conversations where they were figuring stuff out, you know. And see, black people is see, I'm amazed how a black man can say he studied Kemet and come out with nothing. But yes, for real, he can't. Only thing he can.
Himself that way before they came over here. That's why the England people ran them out. They was doing that stuff in England, and it was a part in England. The women's people, they was doing it over there.
But look,
they was not getting along over there. They ran them all over here.
Yeah, but look, yeah, pretty much. Well, America white man is English trash. They was they robbers, they thieves, they low lives. They rebels and stuff like that. That's something that.
And where did you hear that before? Also, where else they ran? Remember, before us, like going to tribal movement. Where other place that they did the same thing to?
Yeah.
Australia.
They did it all around the world.
Yeah.
And this is what we were talking last night.
They play garbage all over. They serial killers, rapists, pedophiles, homosexuals.
That's what we were talking last night. I was trying to compare, like, which white man was worse? Was it the Roman white man, or was it?
It was always a good cop, bad cop thing with them.
And hear me out though.
They had different ideas of how to rule over us. One group of them, and that's even in America. You had one group like treat them nice like a person, and they'll give you their heart and soul and work for everything you treat the other one like beat out of. That was like the North, the same thing, the North and the South. On the North, no matter where you went, you're still a slave. The North, they allow you to walk around. Same, much like the privileges we have today. They let the black man walk around, have a job, have his own business, but all the money that he made was still contributing towards those Caucasians. Now, down south, they had a different way of handling them. Beat the spit and snot out of them.
Yeah.
Make their money that way. They always was in conflict with each other, even when they was in their land of how to handle their slaves. One had one way of doing it, and the other had another way of doing it. But no matter how each one of them came to the conclusion of how he was going to handle the Negro, it was still slavery.
I came across a conundrum as I was thinking about that earlier today. I was thinking, okay, when I made my comparison, which white man was brought more brutal and treachery to the world? Was it the Roman white man, or was it the American white man? And here it is out. There you go. Because let me explain what I came across. The Roman white man, the original Roman white man, is not the same white man as the Christian white man. The Christian white man was the Germanic white man who collapsed Rome from within. Right, and they became dominant in Rome, and that's how Christianity rose to the top of Rome, not by way of the old-fashioned Roman, but by way of new invaders. You know what I'm saying? New interlopers, and these were Germanics, the Gothics, and these Gothics are the same ancestors of your not your African, but your European Americans today.
Yeah.
And how did they get from Rome to the West? Genghis Khan ran their asses that way.
Yeah. A lot of people forgot about him.
Genghis Khan collapsed. He put the final blow to the Roman Empire, and all of those Germans that embraced Christianity, they became the new pontiffs. You know, the old pontiffs, the old Caesars and them, they were of that old original Kittim bloodline. The ones that became dominant before Rome collapsed were from the Gomer bloodline of Japheth.
Yes.
And the American white man is that same white man from the bloodline of Gomer. So when I think about it, you answered the question. He the same mother sucker.
And what was the ancient names? Tabal, and the one because they was known for being slave traders and slave merchants.
Well, when you get to Tubal, hold on. I think Japheth might have had a son named. No, Tubal is like way back in the Genesis, way before Japheth was even born, if I'm mistaken.
Yeah, but no, I was related to that because the Most High, He was letting us know who the slave traders were. The people that they all came out of Gomer.
Yeah, they all came up out of Gomer. Yep.
Yeah, that Jack line, that Gomer line, that's where all the worst ones came from, you know.
Okay, now
the barbarians and your Vikings and all, you know, the Aryans, we fought them.
Hey, now we only got about 14 more minutes for this show. Okay. So we're gonna get ready to close it out pretty soon. But notice that same bloodline from Rome to America, that German bloodline.
Yeah.
It is that is the bloodline of this so-called Illuminati, the Bavarian Illuminati. Ain't that something? And that is the same bloodline that is the dominant white man in the world. I don't know. They try to say that the European Jews, which is a different bloodline from the American white man and the Germans, are the rulers of this world. I believe that the tribe of Gomer, that specific group of white men, is the most powerful white man on this planet.
Well, I was trying to figure out, because they basically don't take the state Jew. He's like a doggy mix of different kinds. I was always trying to figure out where most of their chaotic ways came from, because like you got little different variations of Caucasian.
Well, they were barbaric before they converted to Hebrewism. Yeah. That's where it came from. It came from the.
But I was trying to go further back to the continuation of those the Khazarians, you know, because they was always.
The Khazarians come from like Tagarma.
Thanks.
Yeah, they come from guys like Tagarma and you know, this is why they say that they are the descendants of people like the Turks and the Huns. See, Tagarma, the root word of Tagarma is Turg, which is actually the root word of Turk.
Yeah.
You know, them guys is Turks and Huns and shit, man. Yeah, they from they that bloodline of Europeans. They not the Germanic Europeans.
And
they both Japheth. They both sons of Japheth, no doubt. Well, they had to be, because other Europeans like Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great, he got their stories of him locking their butts up in the Caucasian mountains, erecting walls and keeping them from the norms of society. So they must have been a worse breed than those of Gomer.
The worst. They couldn't exist for a while. And those baskets they sent over here. But by then they didn't put it out, you know, by different languages and fresh got in and did it pour it all down, but that garbage, that piece was still there.
Yeah.
And the ones they sent over here.
Do you know that guys like us that are thinkers, they would sit up there and write us off like conspiracy people, you know? But there was a thing back in the 60s where the CIA and this conspiracy thing, you know, they created the whole conspiracy theory to be able to knock real thinkers out of the box. Oh, that's
that was the greatest invention they ever came up with.
Yeah. But we only got about 10 minutes. So what I'm going to do is we're just going to end this show, man. We kicked enough knowledge, dropped enough jewels, and we can continue this program. So anything you like to say, man, to the audience, man? You got any YouTube pages, Facebook pages that you want to direct people to, where they can come and get some more of this type of knowledge and information from you?
Just come to my Camuel Ben Yehudah page and friend up on there. But I post constantly every day until I get ready to move my platform up to a higher platform. But right now, that's what I'm based on right now. In my little corner, my little space.
So that's Camuel, Camuel Benyehudah.
Yes.
All right.
And that, I'll say to the people, praise the Most High, try your best to keep His commandments, do His will, search Him out honestly. Find out who He is and get to know Him, get to know His laws, read those scriptures, read them hard, study, go from front to the back, then do it again, study. And sooner or later, when the Most High said we're taking this serious, we'll take you serious. When He takes you serious, He'll start showing you things. Things will open up. You'll start understanding things like what me and Yasha talking about. You'll be able to relate to them more and more. Because a lot of people, like I said, there's confusion to them because they don't know. But when you study, you will know. You will see how things work. You'll be able to see past all the lies. When you study your scriptures first, then you can break the world down after that, not the other way around.
Yeah. Well, that being it, this is Yasha Ben-Yishrael, a.k.a. Terry Whitfield, signing off for the Yasha Ben-Yishrael Terry Whitfield podcast show. I've been trying to get this great genius young man on this show for a while, and the Most High made it manifest. That being it, we're signing out, and stay tuned for the next podcast. This will be uploaded to YouTube, but as of now, this is going on Anchor. Download the Anchor app. That way you can get all of the exclusives. The best pods go to YouTube. Join the Yasha Ben-Yishrael podcast show or the Yasha Ben-Yishrael show on YouTube. That's YASHABENYISHRAEL. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. That being it, Layla Tov. Good night.